What bonus? Oh, I get a bonus for doing this. Oh, a bonus. Oh, that's nice. But you know what? Fuck the bonus. Hey folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, for this video, we're going back to the 80s. Oh, the decade that we all know and love. Oh, we do. Don't try and deny it. All our favourite movies herald from that time period. One-man armies. They were built like fucking brick shithouses. And they took down the mafia, they took down the Yakuza, the ninja, the Russians. Everybody. One man, armed with pump-action shotguns, Uzis, fucking Desert Eagles, Ingrams. They got everything at their resource. And they took down everybody and faced no recriminations. Despite blowing up half the city, they were never fined, they were never arrested, they were never court-martialed. They were our heroes. Yeah, Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Norris, Van Damme, and Hauer, Rutger Hauer. Wanted Dead or Alive from 1987, directed and co-written by Gary Sherman. Gary Sherman, the guy that did one of the most extraordinary horror movies in British cinema. Yeah, he's American, but he came to Blighty to film what I think was his first movie, his first mainstream movie, Deathline in the 70s. Deathline, aka Raw Meat. About a cannibalistic underground dweller. The descendants of the guys who were tunnelling some underground railway tunnels which collapsed and they had to live off themselves. But they lived down there for decades and he's a descendant of them and he's the last of his kind and he is going out with a pickaxe and getting his food source from the streets and from the tube. And it's a great movie and it's an American that made it and it's a very quintessentially British movie. He would also go on to do one of my favourite horror movies which I have talked about a lot but never reviewed on the channel. I've reviewed it for press and for other forums, but Dead and Buried, yeah. The hypodermic in the eye. People are getting barbecued and beaten and Potter's Bluff. You've got a mortician who's also a black magician, a warlock who's creating zombies and then giving them identities to go out and kill other people so he can keep himself in business. It's a crazy, chaotic idea. But it's also got the great James Farentino as the sheriff in charge of finding out what the hell's going on in his town. Lots of twists and turns. I love it. And I'll cover it, I promise you. Now, he then did a film called Vice Squad, it's Gary Sherman. And Vice Squad comes with a lot of controversy. As the title suggests, it's a team going undercover and it's Vice Squad, vice, narcotics and prostitution and all that. And it highlighted the plight of hookers and people on the street and it was inspired by real life events as well. So a real life person and all the things that she went through. But it got accused of being misogynistic and totally anti-feminist and anti-woman. And which is so not the case. It was a hard-hitting movie, and but Gary Sherman did get dragged over hot coals for it, and yet all he was doing was highlighting what was really taking place. So he then gets offered this. Did a couple of TV movies as well, I think, in between. Wanted Dead or Alive. That's Wanted, Dead or Alive. And it was initially a remake of the old Steve McQueen 1958 to 1960 TV show, Wanted Dead or Alive. You can see there, I have season 1 of it there, where Steve McQueen, the great Steve McQueen, played Josh Randall, a bounty hunter in the Old West. And it was very popular and it led to Steve McQueen getting the likes of The Great Escape and Magnificent Seven and obviously superstardom. If you watch it, it's not that good. I know it's a cult favourite, but it's not that good. And but anyway, we'll talk more about that. The script offered to Gary Sherman and his mates who were producers was a version of that, and it didn't work. So Gary Sherman said, this is not going to work, and we need to change this. Now, before I get into the whole nuts and bolts of all of this, like, just wanted to set the scene for them and how I discovered the movie before we go into the whole fun and games of Rutger Hauer chasing down bounties and terrorists. For that is what the story is about. There was a director's strike looming, right? Now, at the moment, at the time of this recording, Hollywood and soon to be in the UK, you've got a writers and actors strike, which is really going to blight Hollywood good style. So at the time, there was a director's strike looming. It never happened, but it was on the cards. So this film, this script came about, Wanted Dead or Alive, based on this. They read it and went, oh shit, that's not going to work. Can't work with that. Right, we'll rewrite it then. And then, hang on, director's strike looming. You've got about 3 or 4 weeks. So get it written, get it cast, get it filmed. Are you fucking kidding me? Well, they fucking did it. And the strike never happened. In hindsight, Gary Sherman, if he could go back and remake this movie, he would. And him and his producers have often talked about remaking the movie. But they said, well, no, look, we did what we did, and we're happy with what we produced. And so, no, let it stand as it is. Let someone else fucking remake it and do whatever. But he says, like, if we had the time over again, I'd like more time to work on the screenplay. So, that was the genesis of the movie. It was updated from a Western sort of remake to the modern day bounty hunter, but with terrorists thrown in. Because that was all the rage in the 80s. Terrorists never go out of fashion. Never. Throughout every decade in the 20th century and 21st century so far, we've had terrorism. Simple as. It ain't gonna go away. And but the 70s, especially the UK, was rife with Northern Ireland. But for the US, you had the Middle East, you had Libya, you had Beirut, Lebanon. You had all of this going on. And of course that reflects into this movie and the script that they eventually rewrote and developed. Now when this film came out in the UK, it came out on home video. If you managed to see this movie at the cinema in the UK, then you were lucky, because I was a massive moviegoer. This film never hit any province within a 100-mile radius of where I live. It weren't there. And but in the 80s, although a massive fan of Arnie and Stallone, Norris and all the guys that pump action shotguns, Uzis, M16s, M203s, action, explosions, car chases, taking down bad guys left, right and centre, yeah, that was me. Well, that was what I wanted to be. And I loved it by proxy. I may have done bits as I got older, but we won't go into that. Or shall we? No, we won't. We can't, in fact. Just noticed. One of my less than covert colleagues. Cheers, y'all. When it came out on home video, I was out partying good style. So I was late to the party for this movie. Oh, I was straight there for Tango and Cash and everything else. Oh my god. But this, I don't know. And my mates would all go, because they all saw it before I did. They're like, oh, you've got to see it. You love Rutger Hauer. You loved him from Austin and Weekend, from Lady Hawk, which I didn't love him in Lady Hawk. So I was like, no, I've got to stop you there. I did not love him in Lady Hawk at all. That film is shite. But Blade Runner, you know, and oh god, and Hitcher. Wow, the Hitcher. So you're gonna love this. It's action, it's car chases, explosions, it's shotguns, he's killing everybody. It's great. It's just a one-man rampage. Okay, all right, hold your horses, I'll watch it. And I did. And I was like, did you guys watch the same film that I've just seen, that you've just shown me? I saw one car chase, or maybe two, which weren't very exciting. And there's guns, shotguns, yeah, and there's a knife, and there's some shooting. But really speaking, ooh, this was on the slow burn. This, my fellow friends and movie aficionados, is a callback to the 70s espionage thrillers, but done with an 80s sort of slant on it, with the maverick sort of iconic anti-hero, you know. And I thought, yeah, this is not really what you've made it out to be. So I kind of consigned it to the middling bin of the 80s. You know, you've got your stuff that doesn't go in the bin. It's top shelf. Your Predators, your Lethal Weapons, your Die Hards, Aliens, your Terminators. You got all the great stuff in the 80s, like Commando and the Rambo movies, obviously, and Norris. Let's not forget Norris. And I thought this, it's not shit, but it's not great. It's gonna go, well, bottom shelf, or the kind of like maybe teetering on the brink of the edge of the shelf in the bin. Because I thought, it's not what I wanted, it's not what I was led to believe, so Decades passed, and I was reviewing movies for AV forums, and people would get in touch with me all the time. Oh, will you review Wanted Dead or Alive? And I was like, no. No, I've no interest in it. It didn't work for me back in the 80s. Why is it going to work for me now? So no, I wouldn't do it. And what's prompting this review right now is the very fact that in the pub the other night, it's always a pub, isn't it? And it is though, it is. Because you talk in the pub. And everyone knows I'm the movie man, you know. And so 80s iconic heroes, and people were saying about Rutger Hauer still being alive, and I said, I've got to stop you there. Rutger Hauer died a couple of years ago, and he's not with us anymore. No, you're wrong. So they all get the phones. I was like, Google. Oh, you're right. I said, like, if you just put my name next to it, like, oh, you did it. Oh, you did a video with it, didn't you? Yeah, proving you don't watch my videos, do you? No, don't worry, no one does. But so like, no, we'll like the film anyway. And it's like, no, it didn't really work for me. And I go, I love the director, and I mentioned Deathline and Dead and Buried, and they're just going like, can you get back to Rutger Hauer? And I said, no, it just didn't work for me. It was kind of boring, kind of talky, not much action whatsoever, and a lot of posturing, and no, it didn't really work. But a lot of people seemed to like it, and my mates at the time liked it. These guys who are older, and they're not the same bunch of people. This is a massively different bunch of people. All kind of like, yeah, I love it. I think, oh, that line, fuck the bonus. And I thought, that's one of the worst lines ever. But anyway, all right. But it stuck in my head. So I thought, have I even got a copy of this movie? No, I went through all the shelves. That took a while. Shelves after shelf after shelf, in different room after room after room, and all the different piles of stuff that you've got. Didn't have a copy of it at all. So I went on Amazon. Hey, Amazon, big plug for Amazon. When will you guys look after me? Since pretty much everything I fucking show you has come from Amazon. Anyway, I bought it very cheaply as well. I didn't even know it had come out. The last time I looked for this, which was a while ago, there was no Blu-rays. You had to import them from Spain or Italy or wherever. And there wasn't a Wanted Dead or Alive at all. And but suddenly, from Signal One, there was a Blu-ray copy. Nice cheap price. Arrived the next day, watched it. And I thought, you know what? I quite enjoyed that. In fact, I really enjoyed it. Folks, I'm going to say right up front, right now, this film is, again, like I thought in the 80s, it's not a big body count, high action, you know. It's not Stallone, it's not Schwarzenegger, it's not like that. It's quite low key and very talky, with, I think, the most landline connected phones you've ever seen in any movie, apart from like the Icarus File and, you know, spy sleuth movies from the 60s. This is one of the main themes to Wanted Dead or Alive. Joe Renzetti does the score for it. Joe Renzetti, who did The Exterminator, which I covered quite extensively. And he'd also do Poltergeist 3 for Gary Sherman. And he did Dead and Buried as well, thinking about it. Great composer. But the score for this is there's not much actual music, it's mainly sort of this stuff made for the film with really incredibly naff lyrics, but it is what it is. So Gary Sherman gets this, rewrites it, and to coincide with the terrorism which was rife at the time, Middle Eastern fingers spreading into planes and US properties and overseas places. They weren't bombing America at the time, but there were numerous threats that could happen. So they took that as the idea. So Rutger Hauer plays Nick Randall, and Nick Randall is, as we get told in the movie, the great grandson of Josh Randall, which is the Steve McQueen character from Wanted Dead or Alive, the Western serial, which is nice. It's a nice thing to do, and so they did that. But beyond a harmonica, which he gets, which plays on Joe Renzetti's score quite a bit, although you won't hear it on this. I've not got the full score, sadly, just a couple of songs from it. And you will see a few artifacts from the Old West, like a Colt Peacemaker, gold plated and engraved, will be in a glass box on the wall, and just stuff like that. But really speaking, there's no real reference to it being connected to Josh Randall. So Nick Randall is an ex-CIA operative, aren't they all? And he's had dealings with certain terrorist groups, and he's had a dalliance with a really nasty bastard Middle Eastern terrorist by the name of Malik Al-Rahim. Malik Al-Rahim, played by Gene Simmons. Not the actress Gene Simmons from Spartacus. Gene Simmons, he of the tongue, the 20-foot long tongue from Kiss. And this movie, they must have nailed his tongue back to the back of his head. And he's great playing this bad guy. Played a bad guy before in the film Runaway with Tom Selleck. Great movie. I love that movie. With the spider bots and all that. Spitting acid and everything. Oh, it's a great, great film. Do love that. I will cover it properly one day. Or have I? Someone will let me know. And he played a bad guy in that, and he was great. And Gene Simmons actually petitioned to get into this movie. He phoned Gary Sherman a few times, and Gary Sherman was like, no. Gene Simmons, you know, from Kiss, with the makeup and the hair and the big boots, and what does he want? But he pestered him. So, oh God. In the end, all right, come in. Look, Gene Simmons said, I've read the script. I want to do it. I think I could help you out. And he meant for the bad guy, Malik Al-Rashid. And he said, I was born in Israel. I was brought up in Israel. I can speak Hebrew, and I can speak several different Arabic languages. I can be, his quote, I can be very helpful to your movie. So no, come in then, if you got the chance. He said, look, I'm playing in Detroit, but I've got a chartered flight. I can fly down to LA, sit with you, have a conversation, and I can fly back and still do my gig. And that's what he did. And Gary Sherman was like, this guy was the most erudite, educated, and super, super smart, and really articulate and clever guys I've ever met. And I thought, my God, he wants to play this role of a really uber nasty bad guy. Well, he convinced me. He looks the part, and he can speak all those lingos. We'll do it then. Now, for Nick Randall, Rutger Hauer was not the first choice. I don't think he was any choice. I think it just happened that way. Do you know who they wanted? They wanted Mel Gibson. But at the time, Gibbo had he just done Lethal Weapon? I think he was about to do Lethal Weapon. Yeah, must have been about to. And he wanted $2 million for it. of course, with the huge success of The Road Warrior, Gibbo came to America and did Mrs. Safel, The River, The Bounty, obviously. Middling successes, of course, but proving he was a good actor, and it was worth bringing him to Hollywood. And so he got offered this, and they really wanted him to do it. And it's $2 million. Well, they can't really afford that. So Rutger Hauer came in for $1 million, plus like a residue or whatever they call it of whatever's, and the marketing, advertising, all that kind of stuff. I don't know how these deals are cut. I don't understand at all. But they make a bit of moolah out of it. You want because of Star Wars, you want longevity. You want marketing and merch, don't you? That's where your real money comes in. It's bounty hunters, folks. The theme is bounties. I've got a fucking chocolate bar, the bounty, right there. Look at that. And there's the Stephen Queen original season 1 box set. You've got Van Helsing was a bounty hunter for the Vatican. Good, the bad, the ugly, bounty hunter. Jaws, they put a bounty on Jaws, don't they? Is that $3,000 in cash or check, Chief? You know. You'll have to work that out with Mrs. Kidner, you know. And bounties everywhere. So, Gibbo couldn't afford him. Rutger Hauer comes in. Yeah, I'll do this. Yeah, no worries. James Caan, the great James Caan, Jonathan E. also wanted to do it, and would have been great as well. At the age he was then, would have been really, really good. Would have worked, and would have given that sort of that feisty streetwise savagery. But again, it didn't happen. So Rutger comes in, and Rutger, being the intense, yet amazingly charismatic actor and presence that he is, does bring an element to this character which they didn't look for, didn't expect, and had to work around as well. As Gary Sherman says, he said, well, whoever we brought in, we'd have to have reworked the script for that person, but we really were expecting Mel Gibson, and we wanted it to be Mel Gibson. But we got Rutger, and Rutger was great, albeit vastly different from what we thought. Cheers, y'all. So, what's the story then? We're over 20 minutes into this review now, and only now do we get to the plot. Rutger Hauer's character, Nick Randall, the bounty hunter, ex-CIA, has given up on the CIA because he couldn't trust them. They've got customs and practices. They will shop you, drop you in the shit, and turn their backs on you. Doesn't like that. So, no, he's left. You never leave the CIA. Never. So now he's working as a bounty hunter in LA, and he's got a fabulous warehouse as his home. This huge warehouse, it's the Ford assembly plant in San Pedro. It's massive. He drives into it, keys in a code, drives onto one of these big automobile elevators, goes up to the first floor. He's got a shooting range there. He's got an armory, guns aplenty, TVs, fucking stereo. He's got basketball hoops. He's got everything there. He's got motorbikes. He's got two fucking big. Sorry, that's the whiskey repeating on me. Two massive big fucking motorbikes ragging around in there. It's a palatial place, and he's also got a boat. Haven't he always got a boat? And in San Pedro Harbour, his boatyard, he's got this rickety boat called, wait for it, the HMS Bounty. Ooh, Bounty, because he's a bounty hunter. Also Bounty as in Mel Gibson from The Bounty. Connections aplenty. Got a girlfriend as well. Got a girlfriend called Terry, played by, what's her name? Mel Harris, not Mel Gibson, Mel Harris. And she would become a big star with 30-something, which I've never seen, but she became huge. And this is her first time in front of the camera, apparently, after being a model. And, she's lovely. Don't last too long, no. Hey! Gotta give him a reason. Gotta give him incentive. and he's a bounty hunter. So he hates cops, and but he goes out, gets all these bastards who were skipping bail and they got a price on their head, and some, I don't know, nasty, very racist, anti-Asian bastards, cowboys who've caused trouble in a bar, in a roadhouse. But he doesn't intervene in that because he wants to. What the hell's that? Something small, fluttery and buzzy just went past in slow motion. He's just taking his time. He'll come back again and again and again now because the ring light's on, so he'll be drawn to that. There's always a fucking party pooper, isn't there? Or a scene stealer. And so he doesn't intervene in the trouble in the roadhouse. But when they go and cause trouble in like a grocery store and they're nicking all the food, they pull guns on the owner and they try and take the girl as well, a little Asian woman. Oh, but take her with us as well. Like, only then does he intervene and he kicks their asses. Don't expect anything massively showboating. It ain't like that. But you get to know, look, he's laconic, he'll take his time, but he will take them down. So he has fun doing it, and beats a few of them up, and takes the main guy back in the trunk. In the UK, we call it the boot. The boot. That thing you lift up at the back of the car. At the back of the car, we call it the boot. You guys call it the trunk in America. And you call the front of the car the hood, and we call it the bonnet. Just the way things are. So this guy's in there, and he takes him back to the LAPD, and he's got his mate, Sergeant Danny Quince, I think it is, played by, hang on a moment, William Russ, with really big, shocking 80s hair. Oh, by the way, 80s hair, Rutger is sporting a pure blonde mullet, but he makes it work. If anyone can make it work, it'd be him. And he kind of does, but we'll talk more about the image later, because there's a lot to talk about with that, and it's not all good. The hair is the least of his problems. So anyway, takes this guy back, and so we now know who he is. But into this fray of his life, he collects bounties and goes and delivers, and there he is. So, what's his name? Malik Ar-Rahim, Gene Simmons, arrives dressed as a fucking rabbi, meets up with someone posing as this rabbi, slits this guy's throat, then meets his real group of people who are all a deep cell of pure, I'm not even sure what group they're meant to be. They may even mention it, I can't remember. And but they're hell-bent on causing absolute chaos, a huge body count, and explosions aplenty around LA. They're going to plant bombs, they're going to blow up cinemas, and their intention is to blow up a chemical plant and just decimate thousands, tens of thousands of people. And they do cause explosions, and they do blow up a cinema that's playing Rambo. A cinema that was genuinely playing Rambo at the time, right, in downtown LA. And you see, what's his name, Malik Al-Rahim, Gene Simmons goes in with the girl that's working with him. I don't know her name, don't know her character's name, I don't know her real name. And they go in there and they plant the bombs in there. And on the way out, he even strokes a young girl's face, as a family go in, all like getting, hot dogs and popcorn, and they're walking. The cinema's only showing Rambo. It's only showing Rambo on the marquee. It's Rambo. A family's going in to watch Stallone wasting, enormous amounts of people with knives, guns, with his bare hands, and rocket launchers and stuff. But they go in so much, and then the whole place gets blown to smithereens, and a really big, shocking explosion. Now, as Gary Sherman has said, when you watch that, they caused $0 of damage to that place. The way the whole explosions were rigged, it looks impressive. It blows the cinema apart from when you're looking at it. It caused no damage whatsoever. It's flame and movie magic. But the flames are real, but the chemicals they used wouldn't damage or melt anything whatsoever. So all the bits that get blown out were bits they put there as props to be blown out. But he killed like 140 people in this, apparently. And Malik Arashim will use a payphone to phone, the police, and he leaves the receiver on the top so they hear the explosion, and puts his hand on the window of the phone booth so that to get his fingerprints. They know it was him that did it, because he's not hiding. He wants to do this, and he's got an army of goons, an army of shemag-wearing bastards, hell-bent on the cause. Not the Irish group, the singers, no, not them, and not the piss poor beer as well, cause, which is fucking hell. Who'd fight for that? But he's got a connection to Nick Randall. He knows that Nick Randall from one of Nick's CIA operations, and so now it becomes personal because he's got men on the inside as well who can give intel to him. Because Nick gets called. Nick gets called in because they know he's worked for the CIA. He knows his stuff. He's a bounty hunter, he's hard, and he can be used as live bait to lure the terrorists out. They're going to use Nick. So you've got the FBI and you've got the CIA. And the CIA is headed up by Robert Gilliam. Benson. You know him, you love him. And he plays Nick's former boss, and also the his friend of 15 years or whatever. So we need you back in the field. We need you to do this because this guy, it's the worst guy ever, and he's out there now. We need you to track him down. You're the man who can do the job. You want the job? Well, Nick just wants to make enough money to rebuild his boat and sail around the world with Terry. Who I think she's an air stewardess. She is very nice. She is. Really perky nose and little sort of dimples on the cheekbones and all that. She's nice. But forget it, she dies. Sorry, but that's the way it goes. The boat in question, by the way, they bought the boat for about $42 because the boat was sinking. And it's in the San Pedro, how you pronounce it, dock. And if you're watching the movie, it's sitting low in the water amongst other vessels tied up at the jetty. It's sitting low and it's lopsided. Fucking thing is sinking. They had to tie and lash that boat to the jetty, but they used it because they knew they were going to blow it up. Yeah, for real. So they do. So Nick's like, I don't work for you guys anymore. You always work for us. But you've got the FBI and the LAPD are all involved, and you've got these twats, these bureaucratic twats who are in charge and calling all the orders and really barking him down all the time and yanking his chain. How many more slogans and jargon could I come up with? You've got Jerry Hardin, who plays John Litton, he's he CIA or is he FBI? I can't fucking remember who's who. Got so many organisations involved in this. He's the pencil neck bureaucrat, but you're going to use you. You know the type. And so Nick will be used as live bait to lure out the terrorists, which they will do, and they will chase him. And there'll be people following. You'll have FBI, you'll have LAPD, you'll have CIA who are following Nick. But Nick knows all this. So the cinema gets blown up. Now he gets brought into it like, well, we need you. Okay, I'll fucking do it. 250,000. Oh my God, how times have changed. A poxy 250k for capturing one of the world's #1 terrorists. You kidding me? And but don't forget the bonus as well. The bonus for bringing him in alive. That's what it is. So he's now got this. He's got his mate Danny, and Danny's a good mate of his. Danny's got the big hair. I mentioned the mullet before. Danny's got this stratospherically huge flat top thing, but it's all high blown, and it's just, you look at it, you go, but people did have hair like that back in the day. You couldn't walk around in the 80s without your mouth, your throat, your nose was just filled with hairspray. Not because you had spray up your nose, but everyone was so bedecked in hairspray. These rock solid, crystalline structures of hair. Had to be. Oh God, I was just as guilty. Christ, my hair was up and out and everywhere. But anyway, he looked ridiculous. But you love him. He's a nice guy, which means he's gonna die, and he does. So you got Nick Randall will have to try to evade the people pursuing him, the FBI, the CIA, the LAPD, to go and do his job and try and find, Malik Al-Razim and event disasters and stuff. He'll have to beat up some of these guys who are supposedly on the good side, but they're intervening and getting in his way. So you have a couple of scenes of this sort of thing, with Nick using his covert skills to get off the boat and swim ashore, and like use some matches and throw the matches into this guy's car, and then drag him out and put a broken bottle to his throat. And the guy says, "I'm here to look after you." You're like, shit. So fucking almost, throat rips a guy who's actually on his side. But hey, he went to know. Should wear badges. Americans and badges. Fucking badges. We don't need no stinking badges. They wear badges. They wear badges on badges. And you notice on the backs of their jackets, they've got a fucking team sign there. Their department's there emblazoned in a big shield there. On the back, FBI, CIA, DEA. Fucking, oh, for fuck's sake. Why'd you advertise who you are? Anyway. Americans and insignia. When I was... No. Well, we didn't use any insignia, so... Just saying, folks, just saying. Anyway. So you get the car chase, the big car chase, which is not bad, because the bad guys are after Nick, the CIA and everyone who are tailing him, they're after him as well, and he's trying to do his own job, but suddenly he knows, I've got to evade this guy, that guy. He's got tip-offs, he's got some information to get to an address to find out who sold the detonators to who, give me an address. Come on to this. So you get the car chase, and it's not bad, but if you think of a car chase now, in this day and age, you're thinking Tom Cruise, you're thinking Ronin, you're thinking Fast and Furious. Well, the entire Fast and Furious movie is a car chase. So to see a car chase that lasts about 90 seconds, you're like, oh, is that it? Seriously, is that it? But it's not bad. It's not bad. And he's chasing terrorists who shot at him. And there's a dead guy next to him as well, like, who's been shot. And he's not a good guy, but he's a dead guy now. And there's a big hole in the windshield, and he's got his shotgun. He's got what's his shotgun? He's got a customized Remington 870 with laser sights. That's genuine, and he's doing it pump action all the time as well, like. And my God, he shoots a guy from the back of the terrorists, and he falls at the back of this pickup sort of fucking thing, and our boy drives over his body, and the legs and the head get crunched, and Gary Sherman keeps the camera on it for a little bit longer than you expect, and the body goes under all the way, and you're like, ooh! It's great. And Rutger Hauer's doing almost all of his stunts, as in driving, riding motorbikes, driving that car, driving a big rig at the end of it. Come on to all this. There's only 2 stunts he did not do, which we'll come on to. Please remind me, because I'll probably forget. But it's a good car chase, and it ends with police are everywhere, and the guy that gets out the car, the last surviving terrorist, he's strapped with explosives, and I pick it up then put it down. No. Complete the mission, Kilt-Man. Mission accomplished, sir. And all the cops, and he's like, I've got this explosives, and he's there. Whatever anybody says, like. And Randall comes out, Rutger Hauer, he's there, and he's got an HK. Look at the weapons as well. It's an HK PTM 13. It's a snub-nosed HK auto, and it's there like that. And the copper intervenes, and like the guy goes and blows himself up, and cops get blown everywhere with the bonnets of cars and everything. And Rutger Hauer goes fucking ballistic. Well, he almost was ballistic till the cop intervened. It's like, I could have averted that. That guy could have killed everyone. Like, we gotta take him alive. It didn't fucking work, did it? So Rutger Hauer's like, fucking, you guys are using me as bait, using me as live bait. So he gets, and this is one of my favourite scenes, this is a great sequence. Jerry Harden, who plays that John Litton guy who's head of the CIA or the FBI, I can't fucking remember which one it is, and it really doesn't matter. But he's the one who's pulling all the chains, and he's just like, I'm just using you. You're bait, that's all you are. You still work for us, whether you think you do or you don't. We're still going to use you. But Rutger Hauer just fucking storms up, grabs him and throws him over the bonnet of the car, and then picks him up again, and he's got him against the wall like that, and pulls out a tanto blade, and he's got it on his nose, and then puts it on his throat. But it's all cops like that. And then you got Robert Gilliam, who's his mate. He plays a guy called Fillmore Walker. Fillmore Walker. That's a fucking awful name. Let's just call him Phil. And he's like, Nick, Nick, don't do this, And it's like, and in the end, he just cuts the guy's tie, fucking pushes him away. But it's a great sequence of like, I'm not going to be used as bait. You're a cocksucker, and you will not use me. I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to take him down. You guys are fucking nothing to me. And it's just, but yeah, we're still going to use you though, Nick. You still work for us, Nick. You never out. You never leave the CIA. I'll get the line. I'll get this fucking line right in a minute. You'll never leave the CIA. That was shocking, wasn't it? And it's not even the line. Doesn't matter. You get the point. So, folks, what are you getting here? This is Kilt-Man massively milking a film which people don't really care about. And I'm just trying to sell the movie because you can't have a great time with it. You can stop watching now because I've just... Go watch it. Have a great time with it. Now you know it's not action all the way. So, anyway, it will go on. And now Gene Simmons will... he gets pictures after the bomb explosion in the Rambo cinema. You see Nick Randall's there because like Robert Gilliam's talking to him and all that. And they get a really good posy shot of Rutger Hauer with his lovely, luxurious blonde mullet and those crystal clear blue eyes. He goes, yes, that's him. Oh, I knew it. Yeah, this is why we're really here. Whatever. And well, you get the horrible moments of now that Nick Randall knows everyone's after him. He's got to try to like, look, fuck this. But he's told Terry, his girlfriend, look, we're going to go around the world. I'm going to build this boat up and we're going to go around the world. But you know what I do? I do stuff. I do bits of stuff. You've got the Colt pistol in the glass case on the boat, which she spotted, which is a reference to Steve McQueen. Steve McQueen had a cut-off Winchester rifle, right? A Winchester 1890, I think it was. The barrel sawn off and the buttstock sawn off as well. And that was his signature weapon in the TV show. And it was called the Mare's Leg. Yeah, strapped to him. Wouldn't you have thought they'd have done a mock-up of that and put that there, which would really tie it in? Because Steve McQueen's Josh Randall didn't get known for using a 6-shooter. It was the Mare's Leg he used. Why didn't he have that? That would have been a much better idea. I don't know why he didn't do it. I think Gary Sherman said we tried to be subtle with our references to the Western fucking harmonica. By the way, the harmonica you hear in the soundtrack and you see Rutger Hauer playing, he's not playing it. It's a fella that is a well-famous, one of the best harmonica players in the world, whose name I do not know. Not Quincy, it's Quirky. It's Quirky, I think his name is. And he's a good friend of the director Gary Sherman. So that's why they brought him in. So he overdubs Rutger Hauer doing this, and it plays into the soundtrack itself. So anyway, so you've got these references to the Western thing, but it's not quite the way it should be, I don't think. But they now know he lives on a boat. You've got another guy. Now, Gene Simmons plays this Arabic terrorist, Middle Eastern terrorist, and his second in command, Aziz, is played by a guy called Eli Danker. Careful now, that's Danker, and he's Israeli. He's done his time in the forces, and he's now playing, an Arabic terrorist, and he looks a bit like a cross between Sam Elliott and oh God, who else? I didn't make a note of this, did I? There is a hint of Sam Elliott to his face, and someone else, and I didn't write it down. You guys can work it out for me. Me and my stupid notes. They never make any sense, And he's great, but he's the guy that does a deep dive, and he puts bombs under the hull of this already sinking boat, which it is sinking. But in the meantime, Nick Randall has told his mate, the copper, Danny Quince, just pretend to be me. And weirdly, this is a weird sequence. He phones up Danny in the middle of the night because he's got to go covert so that no one can follow him. The FBI, the CIA, the terrorists, LAPD. I've got to work off the grid to go and catch this guy and look after everybody, without all the complications. But he knows that they all know his boat. They're watching his boat. Why aren't they watching his fucking warehouse apartment, the old Ford assembly plant? Why aren't they watching that? Surely they fucking know that he lives there as well. But no one watches that place. Nobody at all. Makes no sense. But they're watching the boat, and so he tells Danny, look, go and pretend to be me. Go on the boat. Terry's there. I've spoken to her. In a little quiet shock moment, she's on the boat waiting for him, and she goes sort of below deck, and a hand comes up from the bottom of the frame. Shh, Terry, shh. He's hiding there. Knows he's being watched. So look, I've got to go away, and you've got to go away. But for the time being, wait here. I'm going to slip off, but everything's going to be okay. Someone's going to come, and you'll be fine. Don't worry about a thing. So he phones Danny as he covertly slips off the boat and gets on the shore. And he's got a big woolly hat on and all that, and a big fisherman's jacket up. And so he phones Danny, and it's in the middle of the night, and his wife answers the phone and all that. Oh, Danny, it's for you. Well, who else would it fucking be for? Because he's the detective, Sergeant Danny Quince. He's like, oh yeah, well, okay, all right, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Gives the phone back to the missus. Gets out of bed, opens the door to the bathroom, and it's already lit up, and there's a mannequin, there's a dummy head, with a blonde wig on it, and he just grabs the blonde wig off that, and then, oh, honey, have you got to go to where? Yeah, it's something really important, and he hides it behind his back, a blonde wig. He's going to pose as Rutger Hauer, as Nick Randall, wearing a blonde wig, and get on board that ship, the little boat. But are you thinking the same thing as me? He's in bed with his wife. Their bedroom's there. There's a blonde wig on a fucking mannequin's head in the bathroom, right by the sink, in plain view. It's not hidden away. It's not in his secret compartment. Oh, when I do covert stuff, I put a blonde wig on. And he might have other wigs there. No, there's the blonde wig there. It's not for his wife. His wife's got gorgeous long hair. She's not wearing that, so it's not her wig. The point is, she knows about the wig. Why does he fucking hide it? I don't get that at all. Why does he fucking hide the wig when she clearly knows? Well, and it's sitting in the fucking bathroom all the time. Or do they... is the wig used for other purposes? Why it's always there? Oh, hun, you know the wig I normally wear when we're doing ooh la la? Well, I'm going to take it out. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know. But anyway, he puts it on. You know, it's almost like this happens a lot. I think you're meant to be unfair that Nick uses Danny to pose as him for various reasons. So he puts this blonde wig on all the time, like. But the blonde wig and the fisherman's hat and the collar's turned up and he struts past. Robert Gilliam is there. Benson is there, who's Nick's real mate. And they're casing the boat. And he's going, Nick! Nick! Nick just like waves him off. Gets on the boat and they go, oh, he's back there. And obviously he meets Terry. And I go, don't worry, you know, Nick got this all sorted out. We're gonna sort this out. You're in no danger whatsoever. Oh no! Fucking boom! I think Bennett's boat from Commando going kaboom when Bennett gets on it. By the way, how the fuck does Bennett get off that boat in Commando? He gets on the boat. He sees what his fucking name is, you know, that greasy Hispanic bastard with the pockmarked face, going like, blows the boat. Oh no, it's Bill Duke. It's Bill Duke, isn't it? Who does it? Bill Duke goes like with a great big huge remote control thing with a huge antenna, and like Bennett just goes, and then boom! How did you get off the fucking boat? You're getting old, John. Oh, fuck off. You see this say to you? Enough with the Commando references there. Boat blows up, and of course you've got all the other, you know, fishermen and sailors who come running down the jetty, but no one goes near. It's all on flame, and you've got all the FBI and the LAPD, all the watchdogs who are there. And you've got Robert Gilliam. He's like Robert Gilliam has a really great, fantastic voice. Everyone calls it a deep voice. It can be deep, but he has a hysterical, high-pitched, immediate bark. Like he stands there and goes, Nick! It's his Bezzy mate. Nick! It just goes, and but don't go any near it. You know, they've been flambéed. You know, it's just a barbecue in there. So yeah, they have been killed. But what you see is Aziz with a snorkel on, like just in the water, bobbing up and down, coughing on the fucking, and then sinks under the water. He's blown him up. So now for Nick, because Nick was there, Nick watched his mate Danny go into the boat to meet Terry, and he's seen the explosion. He knows they're dead, and he's fucking distraught now. Now it's fucking personal. It always ends up being personal, doesn't it? I've got a feeling the whole bloody plot was the fact it was personal. Malik Al-Rajim doesn't like Nick because it's personal, and he doesn't like Malik Al-Rajim because it's personal. So now it's even more fucking personal, you know. So obviously Robert Gilliam, Phil, gets into his car and he's like barking down the phone. Yeah, Nick Randall is dead. His girlfriend is dead. You know, you killed them. You know, fuck this. You know, giving it fucking loads, like. And but Nick's in the back of the car, like the real Nick, and he puts his fucking heckler and cock, you know, auto to his back of his head. It's like, you know, apparently Rutger Hauer can't cry. Couldn't cry. Never had cried in real life. He said to Gary Sherman, I can't cry. Now, remember in Blade Runner, the whole tears in the rain sequence? You get the impression, now I know there's a rain tower and he's covered in rain, it's, you know, but it is like he cries in that sequence. Why would he say, like, tears in the rain? And even in the rain down his face, I defy you to not think and believe that Rutger Hauer is shedding a tear as well as Roy Batty. So, Rutger Hauer apparently can't cry. Couldn't cry. So he said, I can't do it in real life. So how am I going to do it on camera? And they apparently spent about 2 hours trying to work out how to make this happen. And Gary Sherman was happy with the result because Rutger Hauer's lying in the back of the car with a gun. It's like, look, I'm your friend for 15 years. Do you think I'm going to fuck you over? I didn't do this. They're fucking me over as well as you. I wasn't part of this. I didn't want this to happen. I'm trying to look after you. And he's like, kind of realises. But he's got like, there's moisture around the eye. You're sitting in the San Pedro fucking boatyard. Get one of your fucking lackeys to run out and just dip his fingers in the water. Go, all right, come run back in and go on Rutger's face. That would be even more convincing than the tears that apparently are shed in this sequence. Anyway, you give me everything I want. I will. Everything you want. I want names, I want addresses, I want everything. The FBI and the CIA, including Robert Guillaume and Jerry Hardin, have been working in a gym. Yeah, you heard that right, a gym. It's a front. They go a fucking big pectoral front it is as well. Like, this guy with muscles upon muscles upon muscles is there, you know, at the front desk. But Robert Guillaume goes in there like, I want a session in the sauna. Whoa, fucking whatever he says. Like, that's okay, sir. And you go down for another door, and you end up in his office. Big tracking shot, tons of dolly track shots, and everyone's on phones. I said this film is full of like landlines and old receivers, handhelds. They're all like, ooh, giving it loads, and room after room after room of people, and like that's this operative's base. You know, they're all tracking down the terrorist cell and all that, like with all the info and intel coming in. But one of their guys, I think his name's Henderson. I've written his name down. No. He's kind of an insider for the terrorists, but he's working for them. But he goes into one of their hideaways, which is a fucking a takeaway, you know, and he gets brought in. He's trying to get more info out of them. Like, he's the go-between, and the poor fucking guy gets tortured. You see him beaten to a pulp, and he gets shot in the foot, shot in the knee, and then gets his throat cut. Oh dear. Because they're getting info out of him about what the authorities are doing and where Nick really is. So you've got all this stuff going on. I'm making it sound more action-packed than it really is. There is stuff that happens. It's just not massively exciting when you see it. But if you view it as a slow-burn thriller, the action actually adds a lot to it. So just don't go into it thinking this is an action movie, because it sure as hell is not. It has action in it, but not that much of it. Anyway. This poor guy's been killed, and now Nick will go on his own little sort of rampage. He finds out where the detonators came from, and he goes and visits this huge guy, David Barclay, I think his name is, who was a good actor, but he's a big, sweaty, you know, yokel, redneck sort of guy. Big, huge guy. And he's a Vietnam veteran, the character, and but he's fucking sold. So, and I think a baseball bat gets slammed into his big fat gut, knocking him down and all that, like, and Nick's been quite threatening and walked him round the place and all that in front of his missus. He doesn't seem to give a shit. She's busy eating their TV dinner, and but he picks up a picture of this guy and his team in Vietnam, and Nick says something like, "Too many good men never came back from Vietnam. It's a shame you did." Oh no, too many good men died in Vietnam. It's a shame you're not one of them. And so he now gets another address. So he goes to the terrorists. Lest we forget about these guys. There's a lot of them, and their plan is to infiltrate this chemical factory plant. They hijack an armoured car, they hijack a big rig, and they've got all these steel drums like oil drums, which they are masking up, painting and stamping, and they're filling them with fucking explosives. And in every other one, you've got a shamag wearing raghead bastard gets dropped in there with an AK. For whatever reason, I really can't work out what that is, because it doesn't fucking work anyway. But and they've been doing car bombs around LA as well, which you see on newscasts. So they're kind of distracting people from like what their real end game is. So driving out, authorities and forces to areas, but it's a distraction. But so Nick learns where the detonators went to, go to this other house, and that's where they filled all these things up. All the maps and plans are in there, of course, just leave them behind. And Nick breaks in, but it's also the house that is Aziz, the one who blew up the boat. It's his place. So when he's in there, Aziz comes back, but Nick's worked out what's going on. He's been sniffing milk. Yeah, still fresh. There's shaving foam at the end of the nozzle. Yeah, that's still reasonably fresh. So they've been here. So he knows his stuff. And this guy comes up, got a switchblade, comes up and as he knows someone's in there. He sees Rutger Hauer's real bike. Rutger Hauer's bike, his real own bike is there. You see him riding around on it. That's his bike. He parked it outside. So Aziz knows, right. This is the guy who worked for the Israeli Armed Forces, and was a folk singer as well, a good Hebrew folk singer. And anyway, so he gets in there, and in a great shot, he comes around this big filing cabinet, which Nick's opened it up, and inside it there's a snorkel and a wetsuit which is still dripping. So he knows. I mean, it's in court, would that stand up? But as far as we're concerned, because we saw him with his goggles up, and it's Aziz doing it, like he's blowing the boat up. And like, so this is the guy that did it. So as he comes in, he's like his knife out like that. Suddenly this motorcycle helmet comes out of nowhere and goes, "Fuck off!" Bah! Right in his face. So he gets roughhoused by Nick Randall, who then puts him in this metal filing cabinet, slams it shut, taps on it with his fucking shotgun, which is the customized Remington 870, and and fires through it. So he's actually injuring him at the same time, and he gets all the info as to where they're going and what they're doing, and then hurls this fucking cabinet down the stairs. You don't see it, you just hear the clatter. You should have seen it, All the cops descend on the place afterwards, and Robert Guillaume's there, Jerry Hardin's there, everyone's there, and they find all. The thing is, Nick didn't kill this guy, which is what I find absurd. He's got enough in his head, evidence to think, you killed my girlfriend and my best mate. I'm gonna fucking make you suffer. I know what your game is. But I'm gonna kill you anyway. But doesn't. But when they get there, and Robert Guillaume arrives there, and this fucking big steel cabinet is upended at the bottom of the stairs, and there's bullet holes, shotgun holes in it. Robert Guillaume sort of looks at it and goes oh, I know what you did here. And he's made up with himself, but I still think it's a bit absurd. And this guy's alive. And they've dragged him out and they've thrown him into this room. They're going to interrogate him. And they find some information on him, a little parchment on him, a little bit of scrap paper. They go, does this mean anything? And Aziz reaches for one of the copper's guns and quickly goes, boom, and blows his own brains out. And Jerry Arden's I guess it did mean something then. So they're all good. It's where the chemical plant is. They're all going to descend on this chemical plant. Now, in the meantime, Nick has ridden up to, wherever they're fucking getting sorted out. And all these guys, they're making the drums, and all these guys are sitting in their drums with AKs. Tons of explosives are everywhere as well, and Gene Simmons says, can't let my tongue come out, it'll ruin the shot. And they load up this massive semi, and Rutger Hauer, for real, gets on underneath it and travels underneath. And talking about the stunts, there's only 2 stunts where Rutger Hauer didn't do any, and that is you see a guy sneaking overboard when Nick is meant to try to covertly get over the side of his boat and swim up and catch one of these guys who are playing watchdog on him. That's not him doing it, and you can quite plainly see it's just a guy. Maybe it's his mate wearing a blonde wig, you know. A blonde wig thing, that still throws me. Why would he have that? And why would he hide it? It doesn't matter. So, this guy getting over the side of the boat into the water, that's not Rutger Hauer. And there is a shot of Rutger Hauer seemingly climbing the big yellow steps. Well, not the yellow steps. The part of a crane on the docks. One of these huge big fucking cranes. And he does a couple of steps. And he leaps up and grabs. And, well, in that shot, I thought that was him. It's not. But I thought, my God. Pretty good. It's only a very brief shot. But anyway, they're the only 2 stunts in this movie. 2 things that Rutger Hauer did not do. All the driving, all the riding, all the fighting, everything else is Rutger Hauer doing it. So, Nick Randall gets to see, right, they go in there, gets underneath the thing, and they go into this chemical plant, Sandrex, I don't know, Santa Claus, big fucking chemical plant, blow sky high, and infiltrate LA with poison fumes and toxicity. As if Hollywood didn't have enough toxicity as it is already. So, and then all the police descend as well at the same sort of time. They get stuck in a traffic jam, and which is a bit dizzy, but you know, LA. But Nick, I've been building up to this big finale, and really speaking, it's not the greatest of finales. Gary Sherman and the producers all on the other writer said, like, look, we want this to be a bloodbath at the end. Just bloodbath, crazy warfare. You don't get that at all. At all. They drive this tank in full of all these rigged up drums full of explosives and gunmen in there. And they park it up, and some drums get left somewhere and some other places, and the rig gets, and then Rutger Hauer gets off this, like, the driver gets out and gets fucking booted in the face because Rutger's somehow got off unseen and come round on the back of the actual, you know, the cab and booted this guy in the face, and then Rutger gets into it and drives the rig, and that is Rutger Hauer driving the rig. Now, in the meantime, you get Gene Simmons and the girl whose name I keep forgetting, driving in this big stolen armoured car. And the police, apparently, they've hijacked an armoured car as well. So they're all there, and like they form a roadblock. And the girl wants to drive straight into them, but Gene Simmons, no, 10, because he still wants to get Nick Randall, and you know it's just not. This is not the plan he wanted. But she just wants martyrdom. So she gets it because he blows her brains out all over the fucking, you know, the window, like that, and then throws her body back and drives the car, and even trying to get a better view out the window, even smears her brains off the window, because he's then pursuing. There's a chase between Nick Randall in the rig, the semi, and the armoured car, and it's not bad, it's not brilliant. Apparently during the shooting, one of these big drums, these big fucking drums, you can't stay down with 3 on him, not with 3 barrels you can't. One of the barrels gets stuck, genuinely gets stuck under the wheels of the rig that Rutger's driving, and you don't see it in the movie, and he can't drive it, and it became almost uncontrollable because he can't control the wheels. Rutger Hauer brings it under control and slows it down, and they had to jack the whole rig up and get this crushed canister out from underneath it. But it shows that Rutger Hauer could fucking, you know, do his stuff we're going about Tom Cruise, riding, running, jumping, flying, you know, just fucking doing all sorts. Well, Rutger Hauer back in the day was doing this as well, as much as he was allowed to do. And the only stunts that he didn't do, he wanted to, but it was them saying, oh no, we don't want any injury to you. Things he was doing was probably far worse, like driving these rigs and like potentially crashing into things. But anyway, it will culminate in a sort of Cobra-style chase through a factory plant, and it is. I don't know if it's the same plant as where the Ford assembly plant, where Nick Randall's home really is. All its weapons, his motorbikes, everything. That big palatial warehouse that he's got there, or it's another location. I'm not too sure. But either way, the production was told, "Oh yeah, you can have it. Do whatever you want with it. It's no worries, because I'm not going to use it." But suddenly, when they were filming, oh no, we need it. We're going to have to fire it up. So they fired it up, and the noise apparently was almost unbearable. Couldn't hear a damn thing, and there's steam going everywhere. But they had to film it, so all the dialogue that you might hear in the final sequence is pretty much looped on afterwards. It's alright, it doesn't make much of a difference. You know, it's not glaringly obvious, but it just shows you what they were going through at the time, and that may have hampered what might have been a more action-packed sequence, because Rutger Hauer does have a couple of, well, I would say a couple of skirmishes. He doesn't, because some of these guys pop up from their cans, and Rutger Hauer just goes with the shotgun, and they're blown away. And the LAPD and CIA and FBI, everybody, US Marines, fucking Space Corps, everyone's fucking there, like, and MI6, everyone's there, and they're opening up these canister lids, and these guys are coming up going like, oh, pure Scooby-Doo, oh, you got me, which is a bit shit. I'll be honest. I wanted a big firefight. I remember in Die Hard with a Vengeance, which is a film I do not like, by the way. John McTiernan's a great director, and Die Hard and Predator are two of my all-time favourite action movies. By far. But he then made Die Hard with a Vengeance, and McTiernan screws up the ending. I don't know if everyone fucking loves that movie, but I think it's shit. There's no payoffs, there's no excitement, there's no great set pieces whatsoever. And you get an army at the end of it, you just get arrested. That's it. You're like, and a helicopter gets brought down. What? With fucking electric wires and cable? Are you fucking kidding me? Is that it? Is that genuinely it? Even in Die Hard 2, you took down armies whilst you were fighting. Okay, the final plane at the end, you blow it up like, Holly, there's your fucking, what is it now? There's your landing lights. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Yeah. But he's had numerous fights. In Die Hard with a Vengeance, you don't get that at all. It just doesn't happen. And all these guys just get arrested. Oh, fucking shite. What a lackluster finale. And this is lackluster in the respect of all these guys, the army that's meant to be there. You've had, before this, there's an arrest at the house, some house, where some of these guys still are. Some of these fucking shemag-wearing bastards. And the first FBI guy knocking on the door gets fucking machine gunned. And then there's a few guns fired. And then the rest are all just arrested. And then made to talk, It's just, you kind of want, if it's the 80s, you want body count, you want firefights, you want that. You don't get it. That was me ducking, by the way. Blood straight across. And you don't get that at all. And in this finale, you don't get it either. It's nice, but it's not that exciting. You have Gene Simmons as Malik Al-Rashim, legging it round up and down these metal staircases, and there's fires and steam and shit going off, like. And you've got Rutger Hauer, Nick Randall, and he's got, what's he got? This is interesting. He gets Heckler & Koch H21 belt-fed GPMG off one of the terrorists he just killed in a nanosecond. Not excited at all. Picks that up, and it's an interesting weapon, which he doesn't do anything with. Well, okay, he does. He hides it behind a bunch of canisters and puts that Tanto blade and locks the trigger. Yeah, right, okay. So it's drawing in, you know, the terrorist Malik, who's like with his AK, and it throws a fucking grenade, and then still goes over to it, and like, oh my god, he picks it up. There's a knife holding it. Booth! Gets kicked in the face, and then gets kneed in the bollocks a few times, and his head slammed into something metallic and hard. And you've got to kill me. I'm a soldier. You're not a soldier. No, you kill me like a soldier. Oh, you scum, you shit. I don't even know what the lines are because the lines aren't memorable. They're just not that memorable. But he puts like an M27 grenade into his mouth like that, and like, he's handcuffed and all that. And he leads him out. Gotta remember, everyone thinks that Nick Randall's dead. Sorry, I should have said that. After that boat explosion which killed his mate posing as him, everyone now thinks that Nick Randall is dead. But he ain't. And he's come back and he's dragging this guy with him. And they're all like, wow, it's... And like Robert Gilliam's there, like, oh, Nick, you got him. And he goes up to Jerry Hardin, who's the big fucking CIA boss, the cunt whose tie he clipped before. And so like, that's 250,000. Oh yeah, we'll pay that to you now, Nick. Don't worry about that. I want it paid to the widow of, and he gives Danny, the sergeant who got blown up. It goes to them, but I'll take the bonus. No, okay, yeah, it's all smarmy shit, like. And then he goes over to his arch adversary. You guys know what's coming next. And he's just like looking at him, like, and he's got a grenade in his gob. Like, no wonder the tongue can't come out. Gene Simmons' tongue can't fold out like the M1 because this fucking grenade's lodged in there. And he's like, puts his finger, his little pinky through the ring. Fuck the bonus. Oh, grenade! And I remember everyone, my mates saying to me like, my God, when you see that, it just gets blown apart. I'd seen Scanners, I'd seen The Fury, I'd seen people getting blown apart. This, a little prop pair of legs and a really naff poof. And no gore, it just, but you know, it's still cool. And then he just walks off. He walks down towards the river. It's almost like a bit like Dirty Harry at the end of Dirty Harry, where Harry Callahan, you know, he's killed Scorpio and he gets his badge, fucking throws it into the water, like that. It's a bit like that, and you got the harmonica playing over the soundtrack and all that. And that's the end of the movie. Now, okay, so we've done quite a bit on the plot. The film itself, as I said before, if you go in expecting high-octane action, road chase, vehicle, muscular mayhem, bullets aplenty, headshots, gore, a body count, you ain't going to get it. You've come to the wrong film. This film is not like that. It has elements of it. It wants to use elements of that, but it harkens back way more to the 70s espionage thrillers. And you know, Gary Sherman said this is what he wanted to do with it. So it doesn't work as an exciting set piece thriller, adrenaline rush. It has not got that. It has got Rutger Hauer. It has got some great character actors in there. Robert Gilliam, Jerry Hardin, he's brilliant in most things, and he's a complete fucking severely, you want to kick his ass, bureaucratic, pencil pushing twat. But it works. He's believable as that. And Gene Simmons is phenomenal. He's not in it much. I was genuinely surprised. I always remember that when I first saw it decades ago, well, the one thing I remember really, well, apart from the ending, like, fuck the bonus, you know, boom, was Gene Simmons was actually really good in it. Well, he is, but he's hardly actually even in the film. You chalk up his screen time, it's about 10 minutes, not even that, about 7.5 minutes, maybe, if you're lucky. Now, Rutger Hauer, I love Rutger Hauer. I love the fact that he's not your standard action hero. He is not. Look at Split Second. He is, he's, everyone says he's a big guy. I'm not sure how tall he was, but he's not muscle bound. Even though in that Ford's assembly plant, you can quite clearly see a gym there. He's got lots of equipment there. Must have neglected it. There's cobwebs on all that stuff, like, and because there's a bit of tricep there, which is a good thing. That's the working muscle. Your bicep is just for cosmetics, but the triceps is the thing which actually powers your arm and gives you your strength. But he's got a belly on him, a paunch. He had it in Blade Runner when Roy Batty is topless for the last segments of the movie, but it works because you know he's got super strength. He's a replicant. But in this and in, say, oh god, Split Second, that belly's out there, and he walks around in some bizarre clothes. There's this purplish shirt, velvety, silky shirt and tie affair he's got on, which is like, the fuck. He does wear the now I've not seen proof of this. Someone will tell me, it's bound to be somewhere. In The Hitcher, he wears that long sort of green khaki trench coat, which is quite military looking, and in this, for some scenes earlier on, he wears that as well. And I'm sure it's the same jacket. I haven't gone back to The Hitcher to compare, and I could be completely way off, but it reminds me of The Hitcher quite a lot. So it could be that, and it wouldn't surprise me, it could be that he took that jacket and he wore that again. Just on The Hitcher only the year before, hadn't he? So, with C. Thomas Howell, and what a fucking movie that is. Now, but he wears leathers, he wears, oh god, leather jackets, and he wears these leather pants and motorcycle boots. Now, look, I don't ride a motorbike, but I do collect Mad Max gear. You guys know I've got the jackets, I've got the pants, I've got everything from Mad Max, from various movies and different variations as well. But I've got leather motorcycle pants, and some of them, which the vinyl ones, which you can wear, which can be made skin tight to look more like the Mad Max style. Yeah, you got them. And the pants that Rutger Hauer wears in this, the leather pants, are fucking atrocious. He's already got a paunch on him. They only make him look fatter and squatter, and yet he's quite a tall guy. So it shrunk him down, and I thought, oh, that's terrible. But then I realised he's riding his own motorcycle. That's his motorcycle that you see him riding around on. So he'll be wearing the gear that he wears when he rides his motorbike. So that will be the genuine gear. So all of a sudden your argument goes out the fucking window because it's genuine. So I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it looks a bit shit and doesn't do any favours in the aesthetic sort of qualities. But he's still got them steely blues and that fantastic fucking, oh god, that pure blonde hair. Apparently the dialogue was cut because, well, it wasn't written for him, a Dutchman, and he can't keep that accent under check for too long. As Gary Sherman quite rightly says, you know, you give him 2 or 3 lines, that accent will come through, and you know, you lose believability. Yeah, oh, you're not American, are you? You're descended from, you know, Steve McQueen. Although everyone forgets, Dutch settlers in the US. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. The accent would come through. Didn't prove a problem for Arnie at all, did it? You know, ever. So, it shouldn't have been a problem for Rutger Hauer. But they cut down the dialogue to try to... And he said even though we cut it down, there were still moments where the Dutch accent came through quite a bit. But hey-ho, it is what it is. Some early scenes with Rutger Hauer, especially the scenes with, what's her name? Mel Harris playing Terry, his girlfriend, they're clumsy. Now, apparently in the clause for the contract for Rutger Hauer accepting this, so I get a final say on who the girl is. I've got to feel comfortable with her. And I've got to have a rapport with her. So he got that, and that was set in stone. So I think there's 3 other girls who tried out for it, and as good as they may have been, they didn't pass the Rutger Hauer test, but she did, and I think she's great. But Rutger Hauer seems to be fucking drunk in those scenes. Oh, that's rich coming from me, but I spot a drunk when I sees a drunk. And and it's not just in this film. In other movies, Rutger Hauer has this sort of thing. Does it in Split Second? He does, not in The Hitcher at all, not in Blade Runner, but he does it in like Flesh and Blood as well. And other movies. God, there's many others. But he just has this sort of like, it's kind of a weird acting style that he adopts. And the mannerisms, it's almost like he's like, oh gee heck, I know I'm gorgeous, so I'm just gonna like flaunt this in the camera and in your face for his co-star, and I'm just gonna flaunt this. And it's a very strange thing when you're watching it on screen. You're like, are you pissed? I thought he was pissed throughout those scenes with her on the boat. You only see her, the 2 of them together on the boat, and the boat gets blown. And I just thought, I'm a bit uncomfortable with this, because you look sleazy and it looks wrong. I'm not buying into this at all. And yet I still love Rutger Hauer. Where else are we going to go with this? The action is not really there. You've got a good car chase, but as I've said about 3 times now, if you go into it thinking this is an espionage slow burn thriller, but taking on the elements of the 80s action movie and just bringing them in, just drip feeding them in, then it works. It works. Do not get me wrong, I had a good time with this, and I did learn to appreciate it. I think when you learn about the making of the movie and what went into it, and you need to know this as well, this is important. The film got slammed for being anti-Muslim really badly, which did affect its distribution quite a lot. Which it isn't. As Gary Sherman says, no, we're not anti-Muslim, it's anti-terrorist. It's just we were using the terrorists who were involved in everything at the time. So, and they were Muslim extremists. So, what are we going to do? But it got a bad time. Got ridden roughshod over because of that. They had death threats. Get on this one. This is quite bizarre. I did not know this until now. That they had a guy who was a CIA freelancer, an operative that they used. He was clearly trained by somebody else, military, and they used him. And Gary Sherman and the company, the studio, said like, the makers got in touch with CIA. Can we have someone to act as a consultant, so we're doing the right things and showing things correctly? He said, no, you can't. But we can mention this guy. He doesn't work for us, but he's a freelancer. So they got in touch with this guy, and I think his name's Matt, and this guy came on board. And he said, yeah, I've worked for the CIA. I've done loads for him. And he supplied all the weapons that you see in Nick Randall's gun vault in the warehouse thing. He goes in, like, all security cameras and like that, and takes all his weapons, his handcuffs. I don't fucking. He's got an old 80s computer there as well, like, and all the wanted posters and all that kind of shit, like harkening back to the original Western bounty hunter stuff, like all that's there. But all the weapons on the walls, tons and tons of them, are all donated. They're all real by this guy. So I'll bring the weapons for you. Don't worry about that. I'll bring the weapons for you. And Gary Sherman says, like, well, but I've seen his place. That was nothing compared to the weapons he has. And he said, like, well, this guy told us certain things. He said, like, well, I'm not going to show you. You can't show on camera how to, unlock a car with, like, using whatever tools. I'm not going to show you that. And there's other things, how to make a bomb for one thing. I'm not going to show you any of that. I'll show you, but you can't show it on camera. Okay? So, do that. But I'll show you certain other things, like techniques of this, that, and the other. I'll show you that. And during the making of it, like, well, just afterwards, he said, like, America did the huge bombing campaign in Libya. And this guy, he said, like, well, I got to know this guy pretty well. And he said, like, I didn't see him for a while, and then suddenly he came back and he got in touch, and his neck was just wrecked. A neck wreck. And he said, like, because there was all the news about the bombing in Libya, and you'd had teams on the ground as well, and like special forces and that, like, and he went, oh, I know where you've been, Libya. And he went, how'd you know that? So this is a shaving rash. I got a razor off my father-in-law, and it was a bit shit, like. He said, no. I know what that is. You've had body armour on, and that shrapnel coming off the body armour, which just hit your neck. Because you told me all this. And he went, like, okay, if that's what you think, I'll tell you what is genuinely happening. He said, when you see things in the news, and this is definitely true, when you see things in the news, they use that. They show that, but we're out somewhere else doing something else. They plan these things specifically so we can take out something else or do another operation which you're not meant to know about ever. But that's the cover. But there's a necessary reason for it. Well, I can tell you for a fact that the British government, British military do that all the time. So it's exactly right. And I heard him say this, and I was like, oh my God. So the guy you had genuinely did know his stuff. He was a real operative. And apparently, even though he wasn't CIA working for, well, he was working for him on a freelance basis, after about a month, 2 or 3 months after making this movie and helping him, he did join the CIA, this guy. So, anyway, there you go. There's lots of stuff behind the scenes. And when you learn about the making of a movie and what goes into it, a film that you might not think, like in this case for me, a bit of a learning curve for me on this one. I said before about how I didn't see it at the cinema and I was late to the party because I was too busy partying when it came on home video. And I finally saw it and I just like, are you guys telling me the truth here? You said it was action all the way, Rutger Hauer kicking ass. Well, I've seen the little bits of that, but I'm not excited. It's kind of boring, it's dead talky. When you listen to the commentary track by a director, when you listen to watch interviews with them, which are on that disc by Signal One, suddenly, and they are really candid and really frank and open and honest and dead humanistic. It gives you a massive new appreciation of the movie, and that's what I found with this. And I will watch this movie again quite happily, now knowing the little bits and bobs that went into it and what they wanted to do, what they had to, cut the purse strings on. Yeah, I can't really do that, and this had to be chopped and changed here. I fucking massively appreciate this movie now, and I do want to watch it again, and fairly soon, because it is an enjoyable 80s romp. Take out the huge elements and the body counts and the running around. Oh, he does run around with a GPMG, but he does not use it like Rambo or John Matrix. He does not use it like that. It is not on a par with those movies. But it's the thriller, but mixed with the 80s sort of one-man slant. And I like it because of that. Cheers, y'all. And this is the score. Gene Simmons is great. What's her name? Mel Harris is, lovely. She's truly, truly lovely. You don't want her dying. I think she's an air stewardess, and I didn't mind it because he's a Middle Eastern terrorist, and they're penchant for airliners and bombs and hijackings. I thought she's going to go off on a plane, and you're going to hear about that. And like, it'd be on TV, yeah, Nick, I did that. In one of Gene Simmons' many Arabic accents. So, folks, what else could I say about? I don't know. Wanted Dead or Alive could have been a springboard to a series of movies, without a doubt. They wanted Mel Gibson for it. James Caan wanted to do it. Rutger Hauer did it, but it wasn't the version that they wanted. Partly because of Rutger Hauer, partly because of the rush to get the film done because of the threatened director's strike. So, it's not the film they wanted to make, but it gets by enough. It's also filmed, I should say this as well, there's a certain look about this movie, and it's, he wanted a look of a nuclear winter, and because he wanted to be nihilistic and sort of gloomy and dark. Didn't want the typical LA Californian sunshine. There's no sunshine in this movie whatsoever. My video right now is sunnier and brighter than the entire movie. The entire movie is shot mostly at night in real locations, all in San Pedro, most in San Pedro. And they shot from midnight till dawn. And when the sun comes up, they shoot an hour after dawn, after sunrise, because in that particular area you get a fog, a mist off the sea, and they loved it. And okay, it makes for, I'll be honest, it makes for a grubby looking movie. It's murky, it's overcast. It serves the plot, serves the story, and it's deliberate. The whole thing is deliberate. That's, you've got to remember that. That's intentional. You look at a film, you go like, it's that drab. A director, a cinematographer, editor, the film, all the producers, look, this is a look that we want. They're not put anything on screen that they don't want you to see. Okay, sometimes it might not work out quite as much as that, but a certain take you didn't want gets in there because the producers get in and like lock the director out of the editing suite. Happens a lot, and they change the film behind their back. But sorry, this bit of hair is tickling my nose, something chronic. Look at that, my hair is like fucking covert, and it just leans down and when it gets in my mouth and goes down the back of my throat, that's when it's really bad. But it's a grubby looking movie, but it's deliberate. They wanted this darker aspect to try to mimic the threat of nuclear war and terrorism. Nothing's bright and sunny anymore. It's nihilistic and dark and terrifying. And it works. So they filmed during the only daylight bits you've got, and there's a few of them, but they are overcast and murky. It's not what you think of fucking San Pedro in California at all. And they filmed a fair bit around Venice Beach as well. But it's not pretty. It ain't pretty at all. So it's all deliberate. It's all a certain sort of thing that they're doing, they're aiming for. And as I say, if you get these movies and on Blue and you listen to the commentary tracks, or you watch the interviews and the makings of, if there are any, or you listen to me because I do massively bleed all this stuff in. You don't know why you make, oh, that film looks shit. There's a reason why it looks shit. They've done it on purpose. Whether you like it or you don't, it's not because, oh, this is just, it looks shit, because they are shit filmmakers. No, that is not the case. It's done deliberately. You need to listen and learn about that, because it does change your sort of appreciation of a film. And he wanted John Alcott to do the cinematography. John Alcott had just done Greystoke, and John Alcott was an Academy Award-winning cinematographer. And before, they only had a small window to develop this and film the bloody movie. And Gary Sherman said, like, you know, got in touch, like, can you do this when you come back from Greystoke? Can you do this movie for us? And he was like, well, yeah, I'd love to do it, yeah. And a couple of days went by, and John Alcott's wife phoned Gary Sherman and said, look, Gary, can you please do me a favour? Can you get in touch with John and say, oh, look, we don't need you, it's okay. Well, why? He's come back and he's really tired. He's not well. You know, he'll do whatever you want, but I'm concerned about him. And he went, okay, because there is another DP or DOP who's coming, who's a Russian guy. I haven't written his name down. Who said, like, I wouldn't mind doing this, and he's only done a couple of short movies, but I've seen them and they're great. He said, if I can get this guy on board, I'll get in touch with John and say, like, no, John, thanks very much, but this has come up, and we're okay. And he did that because this other guy did come on board, this Russian guy. While they were filming Wanted Dead or Alive, I think an assistant ran in and said, like, oh my God, have you heard? John Alcott's died of a heart attack at the age of 55. 55. I'm 54. I'm a massively hard drinker. John Alcott, fantastic DOP, awesome cinematographer. And but Gary Sherman said, like, oh God, it broke me. He was a genuine friend of mine. That's why I wanted him to do it. I knew his stuff. I knew him very, very well. And I was like, oh my God. Now you imagine if he'd stuck to his guns and, like, say this didn't, his wife hadn't intervened and John Alcott started it and died whilst making this movie. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, folks. That's what I'm saying. So you should never. We're all movie buffs. We're all movie critics. All of us, and we all have our say. We have our what we like, what we don't like, and we're all horribly volatile and really knee-jerk about things. A bit of perspective needs to come in. I've always tried to do that. I think the long-standing viewers will know this. I love my Universal movies and my Hammer movies, and all my independent horror movies from the 40s, 50s, 60s, and the stuff from the 80s. Obviously, I always try to get the benefit of the doubt. There's things I hate, but you have to remember. And you really do have to remember this. A film may not turn out the way you want it to turn out for enormous amounts of reasons. What happened behind the scenes, and this is a huge case of this is a big sort of like wake-up call for me. A film which I massively dismissed previously, and now really enjoyed, and I enjoy even more now knowing what it took to make it. And that's just this movie. So many other movies, and your big Disney stuff now, no. You're talking films that are independently made and auteur made, and films that haven't got the big mega budget and the agenda and the narrative, which, by the way, is the majority of films that get made. That's the majority of films, most of which you never get to see. But so even action movies, horror movies, stuff happens behind the scenes which have to change things. You can argue with the directors and writers slant and their agenda, which, you know, I'm never going to come down the side of Blumhouse and Halloween and David Gordon Green. Never. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. They knew what they were doing, or they thought they knew what they were doing, and they stuck by it, and they were hacks and idiots, and that happens. But so I'm not going to get. I've gave them the benefit of the doubt so many times over. I'm not doing it anymore, and now he's made an abortion of The Exorcist. So I'm not defending him or them ever again. But the likes of, you know, 80s movies, 90s movies, so many movies from every genre and every decade, a lot more takes place. People want to do this, but they can't do it because the funds aren't there, and controversy strikes. Oh, I meant to say, the death threat to making this movie, because it got known, it got leaked out that it was anti-Muslim. So death threats and a terrorist group did target the making of this movie and the makers of the movie. So you had CIA, soon to be CIA consultant. Well, he was a consultant, but he become the CIA, and a wonderful guy that he is, very experienced and knew his stuff inside out. And he was there, but unbeknownst to Gary Sherman and the producers, there was a death threat to them. So all of a sudden they had protection by the CIA because a terrorist group had targeted them because they knew what this film was going to be about. And only afterwards did they get told, oh, by the way, you guys were all going to be killed. And we stopped it. Ain't going to tell you no more, but we stopped it. And Gary Sherman was like, shit! So that goes into making a movie, you know, all this sort of stuff. You don't expect it. Death threats. It is what it is. It's a weird world, folks. It's a weird world. And movies reflect all of this, and rightly or wrongly, incur the wrath of the masses. You create something, you put it out there, you've put an agenda, you've put your thoughts into it, that goes out there. Gary Sherman got this with Vice Squad, and he was trying to actually defend women, but the backlash took the other slant. So you imagine putting your heart and soul into a movie or any creative endeavour, and you're trying to strike this note, but I'm going to show it vividly to make my point. And everyone comes down here because they're just looking at it from a knee-jerk point of view, from the visuals. No. Have you watched the film and what we're trying to say? Things can come out wrong. Things are misinterpreted all the time. And a misinterpretation can lead to a beheading and a bomb going off. And this is the Delta Force, Chuck Norris. Just to reinforce my point. But folks, Wanted Dead or Alive, actually very, very enjoyable. Good entertainment. And it is, looking back on it now, it's a great departure. And this is from the score again, the soundtrack again, from the film itself. It is a necessary departure from what the norm was for that time. I just didn't recognise it at the time. And Rutger Hauer, folks. Very intense, very Very strange guy. Gary Sherman said that because we got to know him, and he'd come to our house in LA, and he said like his teenage daughter, he was about 16 at the time, like and all their mates. He said other stars would come by. I can't remember who they were now, like, but good-looking guys and all, like, and the girls were like, oh, excited, but they weren't that. When they met them, they weren't too bothered. But when Rutger Hauer came round, they were like that. Their jaws were on the floor, and they were like drooling. Rutger Hauer was a big presence, a big guy. Doesn't always look that big on camera, but and the fact he carried a bit as well. I like that because I'm getting older now, and after being honed and toned and fucking 6 to 8 pack always on the show, strutting around. I mean, you can see now. You can see my face has gone whoa like that. And because I'm older now and I'm ballooning out, I've still got plenty going on, but it's nowhere near what it was, and and I can't be arsed maintaining it. I can't, and this is the thing. But Rutger Hauer didn't give a fuck. I've got a belly, but I'm Rutger Hauer, and the poster for it, he has that shotgun over his shoulder like that. Oh yeah, another bit as well. There's a bit where the terrorist's image appears on his little TV screen in his big warehouse, and he just turns around, boosh, 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 and blows the TV away. It took them, all the stuntmen who rigged up the exploding TV, didn't work. It just went like, boof, smoke, bit of a fizz. No, for fuck's sake, it's not working. Oh God, they tried again and again and again. Oh God, what the... Okay, right. No, how many TVs they must have gone through? Right, put another one there. Right. Gary Sherman was a reservist police officer. He went through all the police training school in LA, LAPD. Had a gun license. Said, right, fuck it. Now, he hasn't said it. But where would he have gone? You've got Matt, the CIA guy, who gave all his real life weapons there. You'd have gone to the vault for Nick Randall, his main character, grabbed a shotgun out of there. Matt, give us a couple of shells. Right, for real. And he actually shot the TV screen himself. That's how it happened. It wasn't Rutger Hauer doing it. It was him. He's like, fuck this. Boom. Anyway, folks, if you take anything away from this, it's don't blow up your own TV. We've all got massive home cinemas now. Don't shoot them, folks. A big TV screen is for at least 18 months, and then you have to get a bigger TV screen. So, anyway, there you go. Wanted Dead or Alive from 1987, directed by Gary Sherman, and starring Rutger Hauer and Gene Simmons. And almost 2 hours on a film which in the 80s I thought was not worth talking about. So folks, I have been always having a Kilt-Man. Please, in the meantime, there's ever like anti-terrorist in between time, because they're always there. They're always there. Keep your eyes open. Keep your ears to the ground. Get out of the way of anything that happens. Report it, but get out of the way. Unless you know what you're doing. When the chips are down, you fight back. You barricade, you fight back. The way things are these days, they drive vehicles into you. You don't even see it coming. They run around the streets with knives and machetes. If you see it, get out the way. Protect yourself, protect your family, and inform the authorities immediately. Kilt-Man's word to the wise at the end. The advice. By the way, that is my real advice. It is. People who know me know that's not what I would do, but that's not the point. You guys keep safe, keep out of the way of it, get away, hide, run, get out the way, save anybody you can, get out of the area, get away. I'm bad enough now. Can you imagine me about 20 years ago when I was really knew my stuff, was trained in it, and oh god, I still feel that now. And it's watching a film like this, kind of like, it does bring it back a little bit. Gene Simmons plays a really nasty guy, but the thing is that there are far worse. He's actually nowhere near as bad as what is really out there. Nowhere near. It's a Hollywood version of him, of that kind of guy. But I always end up on these things, don't I? I do apologise. Could talk more, but won't do. No, won't do. Folks, please keep in touch. Keep it Celtic, keep it Celtic. And I have been, always shall be, at your service. So please, in the meantime, and this ever fucking bizarre in-between time, just be yourselves and look after yourselves and anyone next to you. It's important. Later. Wanted Dead or Alive, a film I never thought I could spend almost 2 hours talking about. And yet, we almost did it. Almost. We're at 1:56. Now, fuck it. We can make it last longer. We're doing 2 hours. A bounty hunter. Clint. For a few dollars more. For those watching in continuity, there's another big review coming very soon for a vastly different movie. Vastly different movie. That'd be great. And all of you guys who are watching Oppenheimer and Barbie at the moment, I will be reporting on these movies as well. Just not immediately. See, there's a guy there who stood for no Middle Eastern, Persian terrorism. Look at that! This is a crew shirt, from the movie. I've got 2 of these. Different designs. Yeah, look at the back, look at the back. Can you see that? Can you see that all? Have I got the whole thing in there? Stand and fight and die. I wore this. Oh God, it was about a month ago, and I was wearing this. It was in the pub, and I Kilt, obviously. I had the dog with me as well, and I was getting people saying to the front, "Oh my God, you look amazing!" "Oh my wow." They weren't asked about this. They were just looking at the kilt, and me, and mainly the dog. And this guy came back. He went, "Is that what you believe in?" And I went, "Sorry, mate. He's about fucking 8 feet tall." And I went, "What?" I said, "What? Stand and fight and die." And I went, "What do you mean?" I forgot it was on the back. I forgot it was on the back of my shirt. And I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "You've got it all blazoned over you." I was like, "Oh shit, yeah." I said, well, it's a quote from King Leonidas, you know, stand and fight and die. I said, but he went, you were quite belligerent. He's like, is that what you believe in? I went, well, kind of, yeah, I do, yeah. And he said, like, why don't you just fight and win and run away? I said, well, if you can. But I said, that's not the point. And, you know, in a pub with like enormous amounts of whiskey down my neck and people sort of like, you know, can we take a picture of you? And the dog there, like, Dad, can we go now? I'm starving. And I've got him. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm literally the peaceful attack from one side. This, like, calling me out. Are you going to stand and fight and die? And I thought, like, afterwards, it was like, what would I do? What would I actually do? Well, yeah, if you can't get away, you stand, you fight, and you die fighting. I think it's right. But it is a weird slogan, and I put this shirt on, and I forget it's written there. There's more optimistic slogans, you know. Like Braveheart's got fucking plenty, and I don't even need a fucking shirt with a slogan on. I just walk around with the hair and the fucking kilt, and you know everyone knows, and I hear it all the time, freedom and all that. I'm giving it loads, but stand and fight and die. It's like so you're not going to win this one, then are you? You're going to die regardless. That's the point this giant was making. Folks, if you've persevered throughout this, well done. Gary Sherman, if you've watched this, good on you. I will review Dead and Buried. I will, because I definitely love that movie. And I've done Deathline already, so... Oh, there is Vice Squad. I should do that, shouldn't I? But mate, I won't do Poltergeist 3. I can't. I can't. Ain't your fault. I know what happened, but I'm not going to waste any breath other than what I've just wasted just by saying Poltergeist 3. I'll never review that movie. So folks, no, we're going now. Fucking hell. Rutger Hauer, fucking rules. Stephen Queen, rules. You should have used the mare's leg. Don't know why you didn't do that. Why didn't you do that? That would have made perfect fucking utter sense. Just put the mare's leg on the fucking case. Do that. A fucking Colt 6-shooter. Would have tied it in even more. It was almost like you knew this weren't going to work. You know, you're just not like the same fucking thing. There you go. But Wanted Dead or Alive, I'm going.